Hello everyone and welcome to the Cherryheart podcast. I'm Sandra and this is a crochet, knitting and sewing podcast for the main part. You will be able to find the show notes, that's where I put the pattern names and yarns and links to the things I talk about in the down bar below this video on YouTube. You can also find my patterns and my tutorials all listed on my website, which is cherryheart.co.uk. So welcome to my podcast. It's very good to have you here. Thank you for coming back if you are a returning viewer, and if you are new, I hope you enjoy it and would like to stay. You can support the podcast by giving this video a thumbs up. You can hit subscribe if you want to see more videos, and you can also hit the notify bell if you'd like to get a notification when I post a new video. So how have you been? For me it's been quite a long time because the last podcast I recorded before I went on holiday and then I released a bit later. So yeah, I haven't done this for a little while again, so I will probably forget half the things I wanted to tell you. But what's new? What's new with that? But let's get started. First, just to answer a couple of questions I got off after my last podcast, is I was wearing a top in the intro, which is this top, and this is my Emma top, I decided to call it. So it's just made up of all these tiny little crochet motifs joined together. So a few people asked me if I have a pattern for this. No, I don't. In actual fact, I never got round to doing a pattern for it. I had intended to do a tutorial just to show how I was making and joining these motifs, but that doesn't exist. It never actually came to fruition. I made all the samples, I recorded it all, I had it all ready to create the tutorials out of, but then something went wrong with my microphone and it messed it all the recordings got messed up, and it kind of just it was a bit of a blow really after I'd done all that sort of work to get it to that stage. So I would have to go back to the beginning and kind of create all the samples and record all again. So I couldn't face doing it in that moment, and quite frankly it sort of just never happened since. So no, I have no information on this. It doesn't really exist other than that. But yeah, maybe one day I will get round to actually doing the tutorial again. But just so you know, I'm afraid it doesn't exist at the moment. And then my other quick question I got was about those pink boxes there. Let me just quickly show you those. Okay, here we go, these ones. So these, again, they were in a previous video of mine about my sewing box. So they're just little storage boxes, but they've got this kind of grid thing in, so they're quite handy for keeping bits and pieces all organised. So I often get questions about these. They were from IKEA, but they were from IKEA a long time ago, and unfortunately I've never seen them in there since. So they're just like, I think it was their cassette range at the time, cassette with a K. Yeah, so we hope they'll bring them back, but that's where I got mine from. So I don't know if anywhere else does anything similar, but yeah, sorry, helpful but not very helpful. So on to projects. I've got a finished item to show you. I've been talking about this one for a few podcasts now, and it's my Icelandic sweater. And it's finished! Woohoo! Look at the movement on that. I have blocked it now, which is quite exciting. So I've finished it, and yeah, really happy with it. I will put in some footage of me, wearing it so you can see, but it's a bit hot for that at the moment, but I will put it in. Yeah, so I've talked about this quite a lot, as I said, on the other podcast, so probably won't go over it all again. But the yarn was the Léttlopi yarn. I'll put all the colours in the show notes. So this was inspired by a jumper I saw in Toast, and the colours were inspired by all the scenery I saw while I was in Iceland. So this design here was from the Toast jumper. The colours are from Iceland and the yarn is from Iceland. and the pattern is, the jumper itself was based on a pattern that I will put up here, because I can't remember the name of right now. So that's where I took sort of the sizing from and everything, and I was able to kind of redesign this colourwork pattern sort of based on what I could see from the toast design. So I kind of created that part of it myself and sort of imposed that on the pattern that I had. I did modify some of the stitch counts across the yoke just to make it work to the pattern that I had, and this neckline is ever so slightly different as well. I think it looks broadly how it looks in the pattern, if that makes sense. So the finished article looks similar, but I just had to tweak the numbers a bit to get it to work for what I was doing. But yeah, so long sleeves. I did a kind of high-low hem thing. It had short row shaping up here on the back. Again, that's modified. That's sort of throughout the yoke and the pattern, but I modified it and added it to above the colourwork patterning. And I also added in a little label. Just I think it adds a nice finishing touch, doesn't it? So these are from Ellie at Craft House Magic. That's where I got those from. Yes. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I can really tell you about it. Nothing that I haven't mentioned before, I don't think. Like I say, because I've talked about it before, as I've mentioned 3 times now, it feels like there isn't an awful lot to say about it. But yes, I shall look forward to having that to wear when the cooler days come, because it has finally warmed up a bit here. We're sort of having some attempt at summer at last. So yeah, so I haven't been wearing it at all yet, but yeah, I'm pleased with it overall. I'm pleased with how it came out. I enjoyed making it. I kind of enjoyed figuring it out as well, although it kind of was a bit of a headache in places. My colourwork wasn't bad. I'm not a lover of colourwork knitting, or that is, I'm not a lover of doing colourwork knitting because I don't feel I'm very good at it. What you can see here, I did actually tweak some of it. Some of this top I'd done quite baggy, so I did sort of go around and sort of tweak my floats to sort of get it looking a little bit nicer before I even blocked it. And blocking always helps a lot. So I'm happy with how it looks at the end, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like my actual knitting needed some help to get to this appearance, but I got there in the end. I suppose that's the thing that's the most important thing. But yeah, as much as I like the results and like how it looks, I really do not enjoy colourwork knitting so much. But I always get tempted into making the patterns. There's so many pretty colourwork things. I just wish I could knit them as well as I wanted to. But anyway, that one came out fine, so that's okay. Let's talk about some works in progress next. This one is a stitching one, so this was part of what I made my sewing box for, but I've got the video for, so you can see I've got some of my little leftover bits of embroidery floss up there. Yeah, so that's what I'm keeping my bits together in. And this is the embroidery work that I'm actually doing, the stitching work that I'm doing. So this is a Sew a Little Happiness sampler by Sarah Edgar of is it Pretty Fabrics and Trims? I'll put it up here if I'm wrong. So she has seasonal ones of these, spring, summer, autumn, winter. And I think there are other ones as well. I've got the Christmas one to do, and a sort of cottage garden one. I think that's part of the same range. But anyway, there's various different ones. But I'm really getting there now. Last time I showed you, I was on this bit here. I'd done most of the boat, I think, and I'd done a little bit of this life buoy thing. And the flowers, and I got stuck on those three for quite a while, and I wasn't really happy with how my satin stitch was coming out. I'm not very good at satin stitch, can't do it very neatly, so that kind of stopped me a little bit. I lost a little bit of enthusiasm for it because the boat, I've neatened it up a bit since I've put some more stitches in to try and neaten it up. The boat didn't come out great, and the red bands on this weren't coming out great, and I wasn't entirely happy with it. But I came back from holiday and thought, right, I kind of just sort of want it done, which isn't really the attitude I was looking forward to going into it. But then I did this lemon bowl, and that came out quite nicely, so I felt a bit better. And so I also decided, because this life buoy I was particularly unhappy with, I was really not looking forward to putting the white on, but in this rounded shape, so I just decided to do it in split stitch instead. And I was much happier with how, sort of getting the shape with that stitch was much easier for me, and then that kind of got me beyond that little hurdle, and then I was away again after that. So I finished the flowers, I did the beach huts. I did keep some satin stitch in those because I'd sort of built up my confidence again by that point. And I've done the strawberries and the flowers, and I'm really enjoying it again now. Now I want more of them to stitch because I'm really enjoying it again. And I've just got the clothesline to finish. So I've got some of the tea towels on. I've got to put a heart in there and do the line and things. So that will be the embroidery part done. And then I've got a few things to stitch on. So there's a sort of gap here. So there's some fabric pieces that I need to stitch on, and then I can quilt it. So that's sort of coming to its end now, just as I'm really getting into it. I've quite enjoyed coming down in the morning and just spending a little bit of time working on this first thing. I think it helps, sort of it being summer and having more light, it's much easier to see as well. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to getting to the next stage with it, but I'm also feeling like I'm going to miss this embroidery. So I do have another one that I could start work on, so I don't know, I kind of am tempted to leap straight into another one. I don't know, I might not. I'll need to decide on that. So the next project is a crochet project, a work in progress crochet project. Again, I've talked about this on the podcast before, so no great surprises here. But it's my mini flower hexagon quilt. So this part hasn't changed, just leading back so you can see it. This part hasn't changed since I last saw you, but I do have quite a few more new hexagons to put in. So I'm building up my pile. So I tend to try and get a nice pile, and then I'll add all those in. So I've got a nice rainbow pile there, which I think I did show you last time actually. But I'm just trying to even out the colours now. I've sort of got more pinks, more of certain colours than others, more pinks, more, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, some and some. So I'm trying to find some more flowery combinations. So the new ones I've made of this one I really like, and this one I really like too. Well, I really like them all, but you know. Yeah, so I'm just making these with lots of minis I've got left over from either yarn projects or advent calendars and things that I'm using, and I'm just trying to pair together like a slightly more speckled one with a slightly more plain one for the petals to alternate them. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to, I've got a few more combos picked out. So this one, another blue one, because I think I was light on the blues. And lilac, I really struggle with the lilac-y purples. Purple isn't the colour I am drawn to or get very often. I don't mind some lilacs, but yeah, I just haven't got many choices in that sort of shade, so I struggle a bit with that one. But I want to kind of have as many different shades as I can in my kind of quilt. So maybe when I've done my embroidery, this might be my little morning project, actually, just sort of doing a flower or something for this, and then start to join them together. Because I'm not quite sure how big I'm going to make this. My original plan was to make it quite a big double bedspread type thing, but I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that. I like it, I'm enjoying it, but I don't know quite. I can't see me using this on my bed at the moment because I've got all the different colours in it. It's not really what I'm going for in my bedroom right now. So yeah, I don't know. I will probably see how the mood takes me. I'll make a few more, make these ones I've picked out, add those in, and then see. It might end up as a smaller one, but then I still don't know what I would do with it, so maybe I just keep it going. I don't know, but yeah, it's fun to sort of you know, see the little flowers stacking up. That's kind of the bit of it I enjoy most. But then I quite enjoy adding them in too, because then you feel like you're making big progress on the blanket when I sort of go for a batch of adding them on. So I've got a new project now. This is a knitting project. You haven't seen this yet, but I have talked about it before. So it's my Ginny cardigan. This is a picture of the pattern. The pattern is by Susu Knits, which is Suzanne Summers. She does lovely patterns. I've used hers before and I've really enjoyed them. So when I was talking about it last time, I was having quandaries over my yarn choices. I had some nice yarn that I wanted to use that I had from Iceland. I wasn't quite sure in which combination I wanted to use them. So I had option 3 and option 4. And last podcast I was asking you which to go for. So my heart was kind of going with option 3 because it kind of had pink in it more. And then my head was going, but option 4 looks better, doesn't it? Pretty sure that option 4 looks better. The stripes are more even, it looks better. So I was sort of, I just couldn't decide between the two of them. I just kept going back and forth. So I asked you guys to decide, tell me what you thought. So the overwhelming response on that was option 4 was the winner. So some of you did go for option 3, but most of you, the majority of you, went for option 4. So I thought, okay, fine, but it still didn't feel like a resolution for me. It still didn't just sort of go, okay, yeah, that disperses all my doubts, option 4 is the right one. So I still felt, oh, I don't know. Anyway, went away on holiday. I guess maybe partly not looking at it, not like I was looking at it every day anyway. I'd still leave it for a patch and come back to it. But anyway, something happened. I don't know what, but something cleared in me. I came back from holiday, I looked at them, and I just knew which one I wanted to make. Just immediately I sort of went, well, it's that one, isn't it? Yeah. Why was this difficult before? I don't know. So I've started. So yeah, I can show you which one I've gone for. I wonder if you'll even know, but will it be obvious when I hold it up? I hope so. The moment, the big reveal. I'll show you it from the back, so it's probably the most obvious then. So I've gone for option 3. Here it is. So that's the biggest bit where you can see what it's doing. This is the front. So yeah, I've gone with my heart, which I suppose isn't surprising. You know, I wanted the sort of the warmth of having more pink in it. But yeah, all of a sudden, from not being able to decide and it being a massive quandary, all of a sudden it became easy. So I don't know why, But there it is. So anyway, yes, this is the armholes. So I'm already below the armholes. Things are coming along at a great rate of knots. I've had quite a bit of knitting time because my daughter's home from university now. My schedule changes quite a bit, and we just spend our days differently than when I'm on my own. So yeah, it just gives me more knitting time. Yeah, so you make these front panels, you make a back panel, you kind of join them all together, and now I'm just working in the round. So everything's gone swimmingly so far, up until this sort of working the body bit. So I normally find Susan's patterns really easy to understand. You know, everything's clear, everything's explained, no problems, everything's great. But this one I am struggling a bit with, because once you've joined, the directions for the main body I just do not get. So if I follow them in a way that I think would make the most sense, it just doesn't work. Like the pattern, you know, if I follow how the instructions are laid out and that's what makes sense to me, the pattern doesn't work. It doesn't follow on as it should, so that can't be right. And then if I follow it, try and find a way to make the instructions make sense so the pattern works, I come up with a slightly, I'm like, okay, that works, but is that what's meant? It doesn't seem like that's what's meant. So I'm not sure. But looking at the pictures of what's been done and looking at how the pattern works, I'm pretty sure that what I'm thinking I've got to do is what I've got to do, if you see what I mean. But if that's the case, I need to complete this pink band, then I need to start a blue band and the pocket, and then there's one more pink band, and then that's the end of the cardigan. And it just feels like a pocket, like I'm wearing it here. I need to actually try it on, to be fair, and check my gauge and all of that stuff. I mean, that might just answer the question once it's blocked and I check my gauge and everything. But it just seems like I'm very, like a pocket would be starting here. That's a pocket sort of under my boob. I'm not sure I want a pocket under my boob. Yes. So I'm feeling in my mind a little bit like I'm knitting, well basically I'm going to finish this pink band and then I'm going to start looking into it. Basically I'll try it on, see how that looks, check my gauge, see how far, you know, how correct that is, or if I'm off and that's what's causing the problem. I'll check again if there's a pattern errata, because there has been one, but it was for some little bits which I have amended in my pattern. I've carried the changes over, so I knew I had them all. I'll just make sure there's been nothing else. But like I say, what I think I have to do is what it looks like the picture is showing that I have to do. So even though it's not 100% clear, I think I know what I've got to do, if you see what I mean. So yeah, so that's my only hiccup with it. Other than that, I'm loving it. It took me a little while to get the hang of the pattern, the little setting up of the squares. So it's just been really enjoyable, because it's been, like a lot of time, I really enjoy doing patterns where I can just take my brain out and not think. But this, I've really enjoyed doing a pattern where I do have to think. So there is a little bit more thought in sort of, you know, you cast on, you've got to set up these squares and do that. And then you sort of get into the flow of that, and then it changes and you have to do something else for these squares. The way they are set up are different. So yeah, it's been quite nice having that kind of mental stimulation. That sounds like a really weird way of putting it, but yeah, it's been nice to have that sort of just, oh, let's think about it, and it be a little bit more challenging, but still I can do it quite nicely. So yeah, so it's not been boring at all, and I think that's part of what's made me progress so quickly on it, that I've enjoyed sort of getting to the next bit and figuring that out. And stripes are always nice, because you're like, well, I'll just finish this stripe. Oh, well, I'll just set up the next stripe. Oh, well, I'll just carry on. Now I've started it. so that's helping me whiz through it nicely. So yeah, really enjoyable to work on. To make it easier, when I did my little swatch, I think it was 3 squares on the swatch, I found it quite hard to sort of keep track of, well, basically the stitch count of the squares. You'd have to keep counting every time, otherwise I quite quickly, you know, you just get into the rhythm of one square and then you're like, oh, I'm halfway through the next square, I'm supposed to be doing something different now. So I just decided to put stitch markers on. I don't even know if you can see those actually. Can you see those? Yeah, so I've just got little stitch markers between each square, which I thought might be a bit of a faff. I might find a bit irritating because that means the stitch markers quite often, but actually they've been an absolute godsend. It's so much easier to just do one thing to the stitch marker and then change. So I've got my little kitty cat stitch markers on that I got from So Sweet Violet, so they're cute. And I'm using my lovely new pink needles, my Lykke needles, however you say it, needles, with a nice brink cable. So yes, enjoying everything about it at the moment, and then I'll just hopefully I should be able to solve my quandary of quite what I'm doing next. I mean, at the bare minimum, all I need to do is add a bit more length, basically. But I just want to check that I'm adding a bit more length because I need a bit more length rather than because I've done something horrendously wrong. Yes, so that is coming along very nicely, very enjoyable, and I've got it in my gorgeous new bag that I got from lovely Amelia. I'll pop her details below. I don't know if she actually has her shop open at the moment. I'm not sure if she has time for that, but she makes these gorgeous bags. She used to sell them on Etsy, so I'm not sure if she still does, but that was a lovely gift. When we were on holiday, we went to spend some time with Amelia and her husband, and yeah, it was brilliant. We just had the best time. They were so much fun and they were so lovely. They couldn't do enough for us. I can't even quite put it into words. It was just amazing. They were so kind, so generous, and just great fun to be with. So it was the best time. And she gave me lots of goodies. I've got this bag. I've got a lovely embroidery bag that she gave me as well. So many things. I've got some lovely yarn. In fact, let's get straight into that, because when I went to America, I got some bits and bobs. So let me show you some of them, my goodies. So I'll just show you a few bits because I've got quite a lot of different bits. We went to, what is it in America, Hobby Lobby. So I got quite a few just little bits and bobs with that, quilting rulers and, you know, just useful little things. And Amelia just gave me so many gorgeous gifts. Like, I prepared a little gift to take to just say thank you so much for letting us stay with you and being so kind. And then she gave me a gift as well. I was like, I'm only coming to see you, I'm being the burden. You're supposed to get the gift, not me. But yeah, she was unstoppable, so generous and nice. So they both were so generous with their time as well. It was amazing. But anyway, back to the stuff. So I got, what did I get? So I'll show you my lovely gifts first. So this is a sock set for 2 at a time socks. So this is by, let me just show you the label because I hadn't come across this company before, this person before. I tend not to shop direct to American sellers anymore just because it's way too expensive here. The postage and import costs far exceed the cost of the yarn and it just gets crazy. So I tend not to really look anymore because it's just not a practical thing. And you know, I'm lucky here that we've got a lot of UK dyers, so I've got a good choice anyway. So I tend not to, but anyway, so this is something I wouldn't normally come across. So you can make 2 perfectly matching socks out of that set. So that was a beautiful gift from Amelia. So I love those. Or you could make mitts either, but I think these feel very socky. Lovely winter warmery socks. So that might be a nice autumn cast on. But I also got this lovely gift. So we went, Amelia took us to Montreal and took us to some yarn shops there. So in one of the yarn shops, which was Biscot yarns, I think it was. We found this, which again is not one I am aware of, but it's a sock yarn. It's 85% merino, 15% nylon, and this was also a gift from Amelia, who kind of just had got it to the checkout and paid for it before I even knew what was happening. Naughty, naughty Amelia. I'm talking to you now. I know you're watching. You and Oliver, I know you're watching. So that was so kind. And she brought something for my lovely daughter as well. She got yarn, her first sort of proper expensive yarn. So she's made something with that. I'll have to see if I can pop a little picture on. She's made a lovely hat, and I know Amelia will want to see, so I'll pop a picture in so you can see. Yeah, but she was very excited by that. Yeah, so this is the one I chose, which is just my favourite. Gorgeous stripes on that. So when I saw it, I was half thinking mitts, because I just really like the idea of having just these straight uninterrupted stripes on that. But I did also find something which would work really nice for kind of like the ribbing, so that would look really nice as the sort of heels and toes. So I might stick to doing socks with this one as well and use this as the heels and toes, because it's just a lovely match for that. Can you see that pink in there? Perfect, right? Yeah, so I think a more wintry pair and sort of a little bit more of a brighter pair would be good. I haven't made socks for a long time, so you know, maybe I'm due a pair. And then I got this one. So this is a very controlled purchase for my part, because this is for a specific project. So this is DK knit, 90% merino, 10% silk, and it's, I think it's Louise Robert collection. And this colour is, what is this colour? Avonlea, I think. What was this one? I don't think it said a name for this one on here. Let's go back now. Oh, so this one is Don't Call Us Plucky. We don't know what it means. This one, I can't see a colour name on this anywhere. Oh, it says Danke, as in German for thank you. Dank. Oh, okay. So it's German for thank you. Danke. That's right, isn't it? Danke. Yeah, so that's Danke. And this is Avonlea then. So this I've got for a specific project in mind. So it's a jumper project, which I'm planning to start a bit later in the year because it's DK. I'll start that once it starts to cool down a bit. I'm all about the garment knits this year. Not intentionally, but that's the way it seems to have turned out. So yeah, I needed a little complementary colour, so this will go beautifully with, where is my yarn for it? It's my colourway that I'm got at Lay Family Yarn. So my lovely Sunkissed Succulents. But this is a 4-ply version, but I've got a, oh my word, I can't even think. What am I saying? I've got a DK version, and I'm going to use those together in the jumper, which I think are going to be perfect. Really looking forward to using this again and seeing it on a sort of a wider canvas, if you like. Yeah, so that was by Kelly and Nick at Lay Family Yarn, and when they kindly invited me to go up and dye my own yarn. There is a video available, I'll link it below if you would like to see what I got up to. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to starting that. I probably want to finish my Ginny Cardigan first. I feel like I can't even talk because I haven't podcasted for so long. So that's that one. And then the other yarn that I got was this one. Oh, look, this is from, you can see it's from Biscot, it says on it. Maybe this was the one I didn't have a name for. There was one that definitely didn't have a name. It just says Semi-Uni, U-N-I-E. I don't know if that's the name of it or if that just means like semi, like a reference to the type of colour change, you know, like a semi-solid colour change. But it's got these very subtle sort of pinks and pale yellows in it. But this is, they're calling this Aran. I thought actually it might be chunky because it looks quite thick to me. But they're saying 15 stitches in 10 centimetres, 4 inches, 5.5 to 6.5 needles. So I would have said that's a bit heavier than an Aran, right? Aran would be a 5mm. I think that is sort of borderline chunky. Anyway, I was thinking hat for that. I kind of want to put a nice big pom-pom on it if I can find a nice one. So that's my plan for that. So look at me only buying yarn I've got a plan for. What? Only because this is here, you know. Not like I need to add to the yarn stash, is it really? Anyway, what I was looking for in America though was some of the quilting supplies, some of the lovely fabrics as well. So I've got this selection here. We went to this gorgeous shop. I've put it in here. Yankee Pride Quilts. And my eyes nearly exploded out of my head. We just do not have shops like this in Britain, or at least not that I'm aware of. There was one vaguely nearby before COVID, but that closed. Right, so this is Yankee Pride Quilts in Essex Junction, Vermont. So I got, I'll take them out so you can kind of see. I just basically went round sort of picking out ones I liked. And it sort of turned into quite a nice little cohesive palette, really. Not intentionally, but I just picked out pretty much all the ones I liked, and that's where we got. So I've got all kinds of things in here. I don't know what they all are, but just really nice subtle colours in there. And then I got slightly, so they're all fat quarters, and then I got slightly bigger amounts of these four. So I thought this would be a nice sort of neutrally inside fabric. This one, really pretty. This lovely Christmas one, oh my god. And then a stripe is always good, but we actually thought they look quite nice all together, don't they? So I don't know if they could be in a project together. Maybe. Lovely fabrics, lovely. I want to do some quilting. I'm kind of very inspired by doing some quilting blocks. I think it's partly, or even largely, because I got this from Alice Caroline, and this is all the lovely Liberty blocks, which just look, let me just show you the picture where it's got them all in. If I can find it. Got all the fabrics. I've shown this before. Yeah, anyway, so a lot of the blocks in that I'm really loving. Right, sorry about that interruption. The camera battery rudely ran out and interrupted the proceedings. But it's probably its subtle way of saying you've chatted for too long, so shut up now. So I will probably wrap it up there now. I do have some other lovely goodies I could show you, so many gorgeous gifts from Amelia and things like that. But yeah, I've made a little reel with kind of the haul in, so I'll pop that up on YouTube and Instagram, and yeah, you can have a look at that to see some other goodies, and hopefully I'll get to show them with you here anyway as we go along in future podcasts. But I'll leave it there for now, wrap this up. So yeah, thanks ever so much for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you next time. I hope you get some lovely calm crafting moments until I see you again. Bye. Oh my god, love it.